Hello world, Jacob here. Thank you for joining me. Today I wanted to show you another project that I recently worked on. It was one of my more product focused on user experience. That was my learning objective, and I was trying Google anti-gravity at that time. So essentially it's based on Andrej Karpathy's, and he kind of came up with the term vibe coding. So one of the tools that he released a couple of months ago it's called LLM Council. It allows you to ask a question, multiple LLMs, and they're gonna provide their answer, and then they're gonna receive and rate the answers of the other LLM. And at the end of Deliberation, there is a chairman who looks at all the responses and ratings and decide which answer was the most accurate. And as you can see, the tool is not super friendly. You need to install it, and you need to configure an environment file with OpenRouter, which is an AI provider allowing you access multiple LLMs in a single API address. And you need to configure the LLMs in a single file, a config file. Very rough, right? Not designed for easy management and playing around. So I forked it and I tried it out. So this is, for example, the user experience. You start a new conversation, you ask a question, and you can see the multiple models are providing their own answers. So here we have Gemini 3 Pro Preview and Claude 4.5 and Grok 4, and all providing their answer. And then there is the peer ranking review. It's pretty straightforward and it's awesome. I really loved it. I played it a lot with it. It cost me a lot of money, but it was very impressive. And then I said, one of the questions I asked was around the AI bubble. And I noticed that the responses were limited to their training data. When the knowledge cutoff happened, some of them in the end of 2024, they didn't provide really good answers. One of the things I said, okay, maybe I can upgrade this and add search. And that was the first thing I wanted to add. I wanted to add search capabilities, so I started to work on it and vibe code it. I got to this. Way more than search. And I'll show you what I've done, because every time I added a feature, and you'll see that when you do vibe coding, or as I call it, vibe product management or VibePMing, because honestly, the only thing we don't do when we vibe code is code. That's what the AI is doing. What we humans are doing is becoming a product manager, telling it what we want, how it looks, how it behaves, and then the AI creates it for us. I VibePM'd the solution that I think it's pretty cool. Essentially, it's the same concept. You have your questions, and then there is multiple LLMs, and there is the peer review, and they rate each other, and then there is the chairman who gives the final verdict or answer for that. So remember, this is the original version. Nothing, you can start a new conversation, ask the question, and it will do that. So this is my version of it. This is my fork. So it's called LLM Council Plus, because there's a lot of extra things that I added on top of the original. And let me show you. So first of all, you can see a visual illustration. Who is your council? So who's participating in this council? And you can see this colored is the chairman, because now I have added support for Ollama, because as I was testing it, suddenly I noticed that my OpenRouter bill got higher and higher. So I said, maybe I can add some local models, because sometimes I download new Ollama models and I want to see how they behave so I can do side by side. So let's jump in. So obviously one of the biggest thing, I added a settings page. So we'll start with the LLM API keys. You'll need API keys. There's no avoidance, but not necessarily if you can install Ollama, the local AI inference that you can run locally on your computer. Depends on your hardware. You can see I added OpenRouter API, but now it's obviously friendly. You don't have to configure any environment file, and it's all saved locally. You can add Grok. So let me kind of show you. So Grok, now part of NVIDIA. Let me copy its key over here from my notes. And let me see if it works. Yes. And here I have Ollama. If you want to use local model and don't want just to use paid API models, closed models. And I also later added direct API support. You could do honestly most of them with just OpenRouter, which gives you access to multiple LLMs, or with Ollama itself, if you have the ability to run multiple models and you have a beefy local server or laptop. But if not, you can still use, for example, I added my Anthropic API key, And let's do the same thing. So let's add, for example, my OpenAI keys. You can add Google APIs if you have, or Mistral APIs, or DeepSeek and OpenAI compatible. So this opens up a lot of options, connecting to any provider that has an interface that I didn't support. So you can add them as well. For example, Together AI or any similar provider. You just need to provide their API base URL and your API key, and it should pick them up and provide you the access to their respected models. I'll jump into the system prompts. So one of the things that I really want, and this really opens up this application to multiple use cases. You can see this is what happened in each stage, the system prompt that being sent to the models. So you can say you are a silly assistant, and you'll see the AI responds with really silly answers. You can see the variables. So this is the query, and this is the stage 2. I added a lot of controls just to kind of, again, it's building an AI and trying to leverage all the dials that you have. Added heat controls where you can select how creative or strict the responses. This is called the temperature. So if you're familiar with AI and how to tweak it, so that's one of the parameters that you have available. If you do it like this, it's going to be very conservative, but if you dial it up, it's going to be really wacky responses sometimes. So this is the creativity meter, if you will. And the same thing, you can see the prompt we're giving to the AIs and what how the process works. This is the original one from the original project. I didn't modify it, but you can modify it and you can define different use cases, what happens in each stage. So you have full control now. And obviously there is the last stage. This is for the chairman. If you mess this up and you want to revert, you have this reset to default. I added multiple search. You can do DuckDuckGo, which is free, but limited, obviously. You could do a Tavily, which if you have their API keys, they're really unique. Their search engine designed for LLMs. So it will go out, retrieve the content in a format that is good for AI and feed it with that. And there is also Brave search. And I'm also using Jina AI, which to retrieve articles. So some of the responses, they can, for example, the search engine can feed into Jina. This service can retrieve the information from this website. I notice a lot of challenges because a lot of websites block that service. So you'll see it truncated responses, but for many websites, it works really well and retrieves an AI formatted response. The search query processing you can do direct. If you do keyword, it will try to extract only the relevant keyword and feed them into the search. And before I go into the main event, so also ability to create import and export. So for example, you created a unique council with pre-selected models, and you see that. And the prompts are unique and the setup is unique, and you want to repeat it and you don't want to lose it, you can export it, import, or share it. And obviously the danger zone to restore everything to its default state, and that really cleans up everything, as you can see here, but it does not delete your keys. Let's go into the last section. This is the fun part. So here's the control where you can have who's the provider. For example, I can add just OpenRouter. So now everything here will be based on OpenRouter models, and you can see the name. And you can search because they have a lot of models, right? Or, of course, because we all like to save money, you can show me only the free models on OpenRouter. You can see here that I can select the config. I can add more council members, right? And up to 8. And at some point, there will be a warning, because I did, during my testing, notice that, if you use a combination of free models from a single provider, there's a lot of rate limits. A lot of errors occur. There is a soft failover when that happens, but still, I'm putting a warning, and there's also batching that if you add a lot of members. So, just if you're adding a lot, be careful with that. And you can also, of course, do Ollama, right? And Grok. You can select quickly, filter between remote servers, which are all the APIs, or local, which is Ollama. It's pretty cool. So a lot of controls, but you can also do I'm feeling lucky, and where you just discover new models, right? Like you just click on it, and then you'll see all the options. So I got GPT-5, latest chat. I got 5.4 from Ollama. I got, what is that? GPT image 1. That's not good. Let's take 5.2, for example, over here, and that's coming from OpenAI. You can also have a council global temperature. That's for the initial questions. And for the chairman, you can also do the remote or local. I could search for, let's see, Claude. Let's do Claude. Haiku45 as their chairman. And again, you can also have the chairman if it's going to be very conservative with responses or be very creative. So let's save the changes and let's go show you the interface, what you can do in the new chat. So first of all, this is the first feature I added. It's the search, right? Enable on and off. And you can do also added control of what sometimes you just want to chat, right? You want to ask a question, multiple models, and this is going to give you a response. No rating, no, just straight up to see who's responding the best. That's one. Second, I also added the ask a question, but also the second stage where they each rate the responses of each other. And there is the full deliberation, which is the end-to-end process. Let's ask it a question. What is the greatest innovation that originated from Canada in the 20th century? So as you can see here, I have this enabled and I'm going to click run. So now, as you remember, I selected, I think I selected the DuckDuckGo, the free elements. So here's the response from DuckDuckGo and you can see the responses. So here's the response from Gemini. This is the response from ChatGPT 5.2, and this is the response from the local model. Then there is the stage 2, the peer ranking. You can see the ranking of each other. I'm not going to read into this, but just to show you what you can do with this. Pretty insightful to read. On the bottom, you can see the ranking of each models. Over here, you can see I made a very visual leaderboard that you can kind of see who won in this one. I had a lot of ideas of creating a local arena based on your ongoing queries. You have your own ranking, just like the chat, the LLM arena, but I don't have time for this. We'll try maybe in the future. But there's a lot of options I really wanted to add here, but obviously time is a challenge. And here is the final response of the chairman, looking all the answers, everything that happened, and output is assessment, insulin. Yes, I quite agree with that. It's really one of the most revolutionary invention in our lifetime. That's about it. So if you want to check it out, I have it available on my GitHub. Check it out. That's all I had for today. Thank you again. Cheers.